Record. I bet. So I also am starting to drop all of these calls on my YouTube channel. So any of the calls that you miss, right? Or maybe you got on late or anything like that, I will be dropping them on my YouTube channel. So I dropped this one a few days ago, and I dropped this one, which is the one from last night. So if any of y'all want to go back and rewatch that, you can. But yes, I'll be dropping content on here non-stop for you guys. So definitely make sure y'all tap into the YouTube channel. On top of the YouTube channel, the other resource is going to be my Telegram link. So let me go ahead and drop the link for my Telegram in the chat for you guys. All right, cool. So that's going to be my Telegram link you guys see in the chat. Obviously, my Telegram link is going to be where you guys are going to have access to my trade ideas. You're obviously also going to have access to seeing the calls get dropped in here. And you're also going to get the updates and things like that. I actually need to update this. But as you guys can see, the two trades we took last night, one of them hit the second take profit, one of them hit stop loss. But as I said, this one would have actually made our money back. So the thing that people get caught up is pip count. So just because this is only 2 more pips than this one, it doesn't mean that we barely got it back. So the risk to reward is what you guys want to pay attention to. The pip count doesn't actually matter. This stop loss could have been 50 pips. This take profit could have still been 26 pips. We still would have made our money back. Okay. So let's not get so fixated on the pip count. We want to focus on the risk to reward, which is, things that actually go into. So what I'm about to start off doing is, I already looked at the DeLorean. Wasn't particularly fond of the setup I just saw. Whether or not it actually goes in the direction, I don't really care. That's going to be the things that you also got to work on. You got to work on process of elimination. Okay. A lot of trades might look good, but it doesn't mean you need to take all the trades that you think look good. Okay. It's not what that means, right? It means maybe you want to pick out 1 or 2, right? Sometimes you can take all of them depending on how many all of them is, but for the most part, you really want to get good at process of elimination, because I guarantee everybody on this call has experienced this. You made money on a trade. Instead of being like, you know what, I'm satisfied with the money I just made, you're like, nope, I'm gonna go take another one. And then the next one that you take ends up literally losing the money that you just made. And now you're mad. Now you're big mad, because you just put in the effort to make money and then you immediately lost it back. So now, for whatever reason, instead of just being like, okay, you know what, that might be my signal to just chill out till tomorrow, you're like, nah, I'm about to go get the money back. And then instead of getting the money back, now you're negative. So you started off positive, you went back to break even, and now you're negative. You feel me? So all of that goes into being a profitable trader. One of the hardest things that I had to emotionally get comfortable with is not necessarily taking or getting in a trade every day. Okay, that used to be a thing. I used to feel anxious, like, oh man, I ain't getting a trade today. That doesn't matter, right? You might only get in. I've had a week to where I've only gotten in 1 trade and I was satisfied because I made money, right? So those are things. Now, obviously, I'm not content with just taking 1 trade a week, but if that's all the market gives me, this shit, that's all it gives me. So that's just one of those things I want you guys to be able to fixate on. But yeah, so let's go ahead and let's see if anything. I think I'm gonna just go ahead and mark up this USD chef, because I feel like this definitely has a chance to activate. All these other ones are gonna take some time, so we'll focus on USD chef. I'm gonna move that to the top of the list. So I'm actually just gonna go ahead and mark this up and call it out. After I call it out, then we can actually, get into the actual breakdown of it. So let me put on a song real quick so I can send this out, so we don't just have awkward silence, because I'm not good at talking and doing things. I'm not one of those great multitaskers, unfortunately. All right, we'll do this.
Me and my team have created an exclusive quiz for you so you can figure out which one of the 6.
I bet. So like I said, I'm gonna basically put on a song real quick. Probably gonna take me like 30, like a minute, couple minutes to be able to, get these parameters and send them out. And then after that, we'll get back to it. All right, bet. So I'm basically done. Let me just finish this off real quick. What is that? 168. All right, so I'm drop this in the chat for y'all. All right, so y'all have that in the chat, and then I'm gonna go ahead and officially send this out in the Telegram. So y'all will see that pop up on the Telegram shortly. So let me go ahead and do that. All right, but so I just dropped it in the Telegram. You guys will be able to see it like so. So if y'all see, I just dropped it in the Telegram, so y'all can go ahead and get all the information like that. Let me send this out to a couple other ones as well. All right, but all right, cool. So now we can actually go ahead and get into it since I already marked it up and I've already sent it out. So make sure y'all get a chance to put in the trade. Last thing you want to do is forget to put in the trade and then you mad because it activated and you're like, damn, I forgot to put it in. So y'all go ahead and take y'all time to do that. I'd rather y'all go ahead and knock that out. Because like I said, this has been recorded and will be uploaded on YouTube if you do miss anything. All right. So yeah, the rest of these are definitely not gonna happen right now. All right, so USD Chef. So USD Chef, let's do what I usually do, which is pull up a different data feed so I don't have to actually touch my current markup. All right, cool. So we're gonna do this how we've been doing it. Like I said, if y'all get on these calls long enough and consistently enough, you will eventually kind of see my style. For the most part, is fairly simple. Obviously, simple is relative to the person that you're saying it's simple to, but yeah. So basically what I like to do is I like to be able to start off on a 1 hour time frame. So the 1 hour time frame is personally my favorite time frame to be able to look at all markets on. So basically from this 1 hour time frame. Oh, the other thing I want to be able to tell y'all guys too, for anybody that's new, whenever you come to my Telegram, what I want you to do is click up here at the top where it says pin message. No, I'm tripping. That's the wrong one. Click right here at the top where it says pin message, right? And I actually have like a whole paragraph going over any information that you guys are probably going to want to know to be able to go further. I do have a couple playlists here. This playlist specifically is what I'm still working on. My goal is to be able to have it to where even if people never come in contact with me, the YouTube videos that I create is going to teach people how to take trades on MetaTrader 4, how to fund their account. And you know, obviously if they want to take advantage of mentorship from there, they can, but this will just be open to the public. So the average person literally is going to know how to take trades on MetaTrader 4, understand the language. Like I'm gonna make videos because you know I start saying that people obviously don't understand the language. You know, like stop loss to break even and take partials and you know, manual exit. Obviously, a new person doesn't know what any of that stuff means. So I'm gonna make YouTube videos going over all that. So y'all just keep track of this playlist specifically. This is what I'm gonna be working on. The one that says if you're new to this chat, blah blah blah. All right. Anyway, so I just wanted to kind of reference that. So kind of going into this, as I said, I like focusing on the 1 hour. So the thing that we really want to be able to focus on is what is the overall bias of the current market. Okay, so the overall bias of the current market is going to be a bullish uptrend based off of the last relative impulsive move started from this low and then went all the way up to this high. So as you guys can see, that went for about 286 pips, right? And as of right now, as I like to be able to show you guys, I like to be able to use the fibs to kind of see like where the market is currently at on a higher time frame. So, you know, based off of this, what we can see is the thing that we like to be able to focus on is we know that the fib is going to give us the best opportunity to take a continuation in whatever direction that we're looking at. So the fib is basically going to give us areas that we can look that would make sense if we are going to take a continuation. So basically anything within this zone, the 61.8 to the 88.6 is valid. Right. So if the market actually dips anywhere in the zone, that gives me enough reason to continue taking it higher. Right. So notice how the market actually ended up pulling back to basically the 61 to the 78. You saw it reacted, impulse move up, pulled back, impulse move up again. Right. So one of two things are going to happen. Okay. It's either obviously going to continue going up from here, or maybe it might want to, you know, change the bias and continue this downward move that we see. So on the overall spectrum, it is an overall uptrend, but we are in a temporary downtrend. Okay. So now that I see the market has formed a support based off the fib, okay, I see that this level is pretty solidified. Okay. So the next thing that you guys want to be able to focus on is you need to know what range. Shout out to my boy Starboy. You need to know the range that you're trading in. So if you guys see how I drew this box, this is basically the range that we are trading in. So the market is stuck within this range. One of two things is going to happen, and this is how you should be looking at it, okay? There are going to be two kind of people. There are going to be the people that wait for it to break outside of this range, or there are going to be the people that are trying to get in the trade to take it out of the range, okay? What do I mean by that? If you actually catch the move inside this range and take it in either direction it's going to go, obviously that's going to give you the best, pip count or risk to reward and stuff like that. But it's nothing wrong with being safe and just simply waiting for it to break out. Because what's going to happen is if you wait for it to break out, this is more so going to give you an overall perspective of what direction the market might go. So the scenario that could happen is if the market breaks out to the upside, it could pull back and continue going up. If it breaks out to the downside, it could pull back and continue going down. So literally, these are the two primary scenarios that could happen, right? We don't know if they're going to happen, but they could happen, okay? So with me knowing that these two scenarios could possibly happen, if I'm going to trade within this zone, I need to go ahead and have a predetermined direction that I would like to see the market go. Because it doesn't make sense to try to get into a trade if I don't have a gut feeling that it's going to go in one of these directions, okay? So pretty much what I ended up focusing on is I'm going to actually pay attention to a sell. And now I'm going to actually go into why I'm going to focus on a sell, okay? So one thing I want to be able to talk to you guys about, which is not always going to be something that you guys are going to see me do, because it's rare that the market does this, but when it does it, it's really exciting. So what I'm referencing is it's going to be called a manipulation wick, okay? So this is actually a setup I went over last night, so I apologize for anybody that is about to see me go over this again. But last night, it wasn't, close to activating. Tonight, it might actually activate, so I'm gonna just go over it again so it's fresh, okay? So a manipulation wick is basically going to be whenever you guys see a big ass wick like this, notice how you have the bodies of the candles, but you have this big ass wick that just sticks out like a sore thumb. If you can flip through multiple time frames and that big ass wick is still there, that's how you know that it's valid, okay? If it starts disappearing when you start flipping, that's different. But see how this wick on every one of these time frames I'm flipping on is very pronounced. It's way bigger than any other wick that you see in this relative area. That's going to mean something, okay? Even on the 8-hour candle, notice the 8-hour candle is barely even a candle. It's really just 100% wick, right? But I originally boxed this up from the 1 hour. So the reason why you want to pay attention to the manipulation wick is because a lot of times a manipulation wick is basically going to hold a lot of orders that are previously taken. So anybody that knows anything about, liquidity sweeps or stop losses and things like that, we need to know that the way that the market moves, the market is basically always moving in a direction of people's stop losses. So say, for instance, you take a trade and you set your stop loss. It doesn't mean they're going to be like, hey, Clarence, right? I see your stop loss. I'm about to go hit that. That's not how it works. They're going to base it off of, okay, we see that there are like 1,000 people, right? We see that there are 1,000 people in this area, right, that have a stop loss. So what we want to do is we want to eventually have the market go back in that direction to be able to take their stop losses, which is equivalent to you losing money and them making money. And then we're going to immediately go in the opposite direction, right? Which is the concept of whenever people say, man, it barely hit my stop loss and then it went in my direction. That's exactly what just happened. They basically targeted your stop loss. Like I said, once again, it doesn't mean that they see your name and they're like, we're going to go after Tyree stop loss. You're going to be in a generalized area with hundreds or thousands of other people. And they're basically like, okay, that area is holding like $1 million of stop losses. We want to go get that. Okay. So this wick is equivalent to exactly what I just explained. How do I know that? Notice how this wick pops up above this area and then it immediately drops off in a complete opposite direction. The way that you can validate what I'm saying is if it immediately goes in the complete opposite direction after it breaks above a high or breaks above a low, okay? So those are just things that you guys want to be able to focus on, okay? So now that I understand that, this wick is what I really want to be able to focus on. So how am I actually going to be able to focus on this wick, right? You might ask. Fairly simple. So instead of moving up on the time frames, right, the goal to be able to use this wick is you want to go backwards, okay, until you find a candle that is more body than wick. Okay, I'm gonna repeat that one more time. You want to find a candle that's more body than wick. So notice how on this 55-minute time frame in this same box, what you're seeing right here is the same thing that is right here. It is just on a lower time frame. So notice how this is all wick, this is all body. So basically the example is you want to be able to go until you can find a candle that has more body than wick. Okay, so I'm gonna just go down to the candle I ended up using essentially, which was the 30-minute candle. All right, so this 30-minute candle is basically what I ended up focusing on. So within, right, that 1 hour wick, I ended up going down to the 30-minute and I found this big candle. Okay, so if you guys have been on this calls long enough, and it's also on my YouTube channel and all that, this is an engulfing candle. I have a whole YouTube video going over engulfing candles. Right now, the engulfing candle is going to be the candle I'm always going to be looking to enter on. So it doesn't matter what my analysis is. It doesn't matter what I think about the market. It doesn't matter what direction I think the market is going to go. If I do not have one of these candles in an area that makes sense for me, I literally can't even take the trade because this is how I base my entry. So if I'm gonna get in, I need to see something like this. So from here, right, this is where it starts getting exciting, right? This is where it starts getting really exciting because this candle, we're going to go through the same steps that we've been going over. So hopefully, you know, the people, I see some of the familiar names on the call, y'all are going to start getting used to what I'm going to explain. And I really need to go ahead and make that TDI video so I could just start using. I don't want to try to sit there and explain the TDI. It's just going to take too much time. So RSI, right? We've been using the RSI. So what is the thing that I tell you guys you need to utilize on the RSI? Okay, you need to utilize understanding when this white line gets outside of the purple box, it means that the market in that direction is becoming exhausted. What does that mean? Eventually, if it's getting exhausted, it might go in the opposite direction because what goes up must go down. And we know that the market can only go in one direction for so long, and then it's going to have to go in the opposite direction. Okay. So this white line coming outside of this purple box is going to symbolize, hey, Tyree, in the upward direction, this market is now getting weak. Okay. It doesn't mean immediately get in for a sell when you see this. It just means you might want to start keeping your eyes peeled for opportunity or signs that are showing the market is about to start selling off. Okay. So I actually noticed that this wick happened, right? What's the next thing that I noticed, right? I think I noticed something called divergence, right? Hopefully you guys are starting to get used to divergence by now because I talk about it every single time I do a call, right? And the thing I like to do is to be able to show people in an easier fashion. I like to go to where it says candles. I like to go down to the line chart. Now, this up here looks exactly like this down here. Now, what exactly is divergence, you might ask, okay? Divergence is going to be whenever you have the market go from one area to another, but it's doing the complete opposite thing on the indicator below. So what do I mean by that? So if I were to line these two spots up, right, might be a little hard for y'all to see if you don't have the trained eye. Let me go ahead and put that vertical line. So I want you guys to notice. Notice where this yellow line is. This and this line up perfectly. And so do this and this, right? So these are going to be the 2 points of emphasis that I'm focusing on. So what I mean by one goes in one direction, one does the complete opposite. Notice how this to this is obviously going up. This to this is obviously going down. That is going to be divergence, ladies and gentlemen. So as I keep repeating all the time, these, as you guys have seen time and time again, are going to be my two strongest confirmations, right? Divergence and the extremes being hit. Okay. So I'm already feeling excited because these are the things that I want to see. So now we're going to go back to the candle chart, right? The final thing that I told you guys is going to be fairly simple. Now we should know by now, if you're getting on my call, how I go about marking up this candle. What's the first thing I'm going to do? Okay. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 50% of this candle. Why am I taking the 50% of this candle? I'm going to do that for the simple fact that the 50% of this big ass candle is going to serve as a sweet spot. It's going to serve as a sensitive spot. It's going to serve as like a ticklish spot. So it doesn't mean that the market is going to always go there. It doesn't mean that the market is going to stop when it gets there. It might go a little higher. It might just blow past and hit your stop loss altogether, right? Nothing is guaranteed, but this is going to give you the best risk to reward. It's going to give you the smallest stop loss, and it's going to give you the potential biggest gain financially, pip count wise, all of that good stuff, right? So the thing that I started showing you guys is what I like to do is I like to actually be able to take this rectangular box tool, right, and go from the 50% to the opening of the candle. Okay. So the 50% to the opening of the candle, the 50% is here. The opening of the candle that I'm referencing is going to be the bottom of this big green candle. Okay. So within this red box is where I would like to be looking for opportunities to take a sell if the market decides to get back up here, which is, obviously what I'm predicting that hopefully we can continue to get this to move up, right? So the next thing that I would do is now I'm going to use my fib again, but I'm going to use a different fib, which is going to be the fib that I showed you guys earlier. This is going to be the regular fib that most people are accustomed to. Most people are not necessarily accustomed to just a 50%. They're usually accustomed to this style, okay? Once again, these are all things I'll be realizing I need to go ahead and make YouTube videos for all these things. So I'm actually tonight, I'm gonna set up when I get off this call and start working on some videos because I want to drop 2 tomorrow, actually. But anyways, though, if you guys notice, remember what I told you guys. Anything within the 61.8 to the 88.6 is valid, okay? But I can't just randomly jump in at any given area because that doesn't make sense, right? I need to have a specific spot because you guys know I like to take buy limits and sell limits. Yesterday was one of the few times I sent out a market execution. We are going to go over that setup, but usually I like to do pending orders because I want to be able to fall asleep and wake up and know that I didn't miss out on nothing, right? I don't want to have to be like, man, I wish I was awake to sell it by market. I don't need to be awake, right? I just need to have that pending in, and whenever it's in, we about to win, okay? And I don't know if you guys remember what I just told you. If any of y'all were on this call, whenever this DeLorean got called out, remember what I did, right? I did process of elimination. This was a selling candle, all right? This was a selling candle, right? Right here. You see that down arrow, right? But what did it do? It broke above the candle and it would have hit your stop loss. So shout out to Tyree for being able to do what I just spoke on, understanding process of elimination. A lot of things might look good, but a lot of things are not going to look great. You really want to stick to the things that, in your opinion, look great. They don't look all right. They don't look like they might go in your direction. They look like they're going to do exactly what you think they're going to do. Any type of hesitation, stay away from it. The thing that I learned in trading, if you have any type of hesitation, just do not take the trade. The worst feeling is taking a trade, losing the trade, and then telling yourself, I knew I shouldn't have did that. Well, if you knew you shouldn't have did it, then actually apply that and just don't do it, okay? So that's what I like to do. And I'm okay with if the trade still went in my direction because my gut feeling was like, don't take it, okay? But anyways, let's get back to this. So the reason why I like to be able to use a fib is dope is because now what I want you guys to be able to focus on is look how cool this is. So I still have this sell zone, right, between the 50% and the open. What I want to be able to do is I want to look for the fib level, right, that fits somewhere within this zone. And what is that going to be specifically? Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like that is going to be this 78.6 fib zone, right? So the 78.6 is the only fib zone that is actually within this sell zone. So by default, this is how I am going to decide where I'm going to enter this market. All right. Now, if I come back and go ahead and get rid of that, you guys can see right here, bam, right? Look at that, right? 78.6 got my entry exactly on that fib level. You guys see how I have the candle marked up and all that good stuff that I just explained, okay? But yeah, so that's basically going to be the trade I did. I just sent out. We do have an overall, it is a 6-1. Let me just go ahead and make that clean. So we do overall have about a 6-1 for about 168, 170-ish pips. And as you guys see, the other benefit is going to be whenever you're using your Fibonacci, it actually gives you target areas. So the cool thing about this is if you guys look at my final target, it's actually going to be one of the fib zones. So if you guys see down here, the negative 61.8, these are take profits, the 0, the 27, negative 27, and negative 61.8. These are called fib extensions. And obviously, like anything else, this doesn't actually mean the market is going to go this far, but these are things that would make sense to target based off of the geometry of the market. So Fibonacci is considered market geometry. That's a lot of information. We're not going to dive into all that, but these numbers are all based off of very specific things and created by people that have been trading way longer than us, definitely before anybody on this call was probably born. So we just go let that play out. So that was USD Chef, right? Now we're about to go ahead and since that's the only trade I'm actually calling out today as of right now, I'm personally not going to spend my time going over any of these other setups just because I don't feel like any of these other setups are going to activate today. So that's the thing that I want to be able to say for, like other stuff. Because the last thing I want to do is go over all these setups. None of them activate today. Then I'm going to go over all of them again tomorrow. So I want to be able to save the setup so I can have things to talk about on different days. So NZD Chef and AUD Chef, one thing that I will say is going to be this though, without actually going into the setups. One thing that you guys want to be able to focus on that's going to help you in your trading is called correlation pairs. Okay, I want y'all to write that down. It's going to be another video I'm going to do. Correlation pairs, right? What do I mean by that? Notice how all three of these have CHF as a second pair. That makes these a correlation pair. Why is that important to know? Let me ask you guys a question, okay? What do you guys see in common on all three of these? What direction am I looking to take this on all three of these setups? Let me get you to drop it in the chat. Does it look like I'm looking to buy all three of these, or does it look like I'm looking to sell all three of these? Let me get y'all to drop it in the chat. Let me get y'all to drop it in the chat, right? It's obviously an easy answer and self-explanatory. I just want a little participation. So if you guys can tell me what direction it looks like I'm looking to take all three of these in, could I get y'all to drop it in the chat? Because we all know the people that participate in class are going to be the ones that make the best grades, right? Everybody knows that, right? You all remember the kid in class who used to always raise his hand and ask a gazillion questions, but that dude probably made 100. I'll be honest, that dude probably made 100 while your ass sitting there being quiet, texting, probably not paying attention to class. You fail because you ain't asking no damn questions, okay? Shout out to y'all, okay? We looking for sales, right? I like the word bear, right? Bearish market. Now, I think I want to show y'all without going too deep into it. I'm going to show y'all the other similarity, okay? So not only do all of these markets show me potentials to sell, they all have similar candles. These are all 7-hour. So let me take this off, right? Look at this, right? Engulfing candle, okay? This would be our liquidity sweep. And what did it do? It also dipped into this imbalance, and we have space to trade lower, okay? NZD Chef. NZD Chef is definitely my least favorite. Primary reason because if you look at it, it's just not as I don't think it's as pretty personally. Just because we do still have this candle. That's the thing you guys will start noticing too. You'll have a lot of similar looking candles if you're trading correlation pairs. So if one of them has a big candle, another one is probably going to have a big candle as well. But this is what I was talking about. It is about process of elimination. Okay. I would much rather take AUD Chef and USD Chef and then just leave NZD Chef alone based off of this. If you look at USD Chef, right? On the time frame that I'm looking to trade it, right? I actually have plenty of space. This is on the 30-minute and I have all this space to trade, okay? And it makes sense, right? AUD Chef, right? I have all this space down here. Now, the thing that I want y'all to focus on is look at this, right? Notice how on USD Chef, my fib extensions are trading to areas that make sense, right? Fib extensions trade into areas that make sense. NZD Chef, I want you to notice this, right? Even though I could technically, scroll out and I can see all this stuff to the left, I personally like to be able to not really scroll too far out, and I like it to be relatively in this area. So technically, if I'm looking relatively in this area, it doesn't really look like there's anything down here to trade to. I have to do all this and look over here. That's personally not like how I like to trade, because in a lot of instances, I usually notice if I have to do all this just to find something to the left, I'm reaching at that point. For my style of trading, I'm basically reaching. So AUD Chef, I don't really have to go nowhere. Like, it's literally right here. Look at how I don't have to do this. Where I can trade to is right here, right? That makes me feel way more comfortable than something like this. Yeah, this very well could hit here, sell off, drop all the way. It could, right? But do I feel comfortable taking that chance? No. Why? Because I literally have two other setups that I have the same bias for that look better. So this is an example of all three of these could be bangers, but there are only two that I actually have the confidence in putting my money behind for the reasons that I just sat here and explained. And then also too, if you guys think about it, look at the stop loss on this. This would be a 40 pip stop loss for me, okay, which is the biggest stop loss that I can personally take just based off of my rules, right? 80 Chef is 33, USD Chef is 28. That's another reason. Of course, I'm going to want to stick to the trades that have a smaller stop loss, because guess what? The risk to reward is going to be more, right? So all these things you guys got to think about. So like, if I were to take this trade and win, I have a better opportunity to make more money. If I take this trade and win, I'm not going to make as much. And if I lose, it wasn't the best trade to take because it's not the best risk to reward. So this is only about not even a 3-to-1 back to this low. And like I said, I don't know if it's going to go any lower than this. At least on this, my first take profit, right, is basically a 3-to-1. Okay, literally just my first take profit. If I go to AUD Chef, right, my first take profit on this one is a 3-to-1, right? Is this making sense? Notice how my first take profit on both of these setups will be equivalent to what basically the final take profit would be on this one. And it's a bigger stop loss. So all of these reasons are why I'm going to pass this up. On top of that, I don't know what this is reacting off of. I'm assuming it's reacting off of this, possibly. But AUD Chef, I know for a fact this is reacting off of this imbalance. USD Chef, I know for a fact this is reacting off of this imbalance, and it's a manipulation week. So like I said, all those things are going to be reasons why. What I'm going to do is I'm actually put this on a separate folder, so I don't mistake that. Let me put that on like an orange folder. And then also have another one, Euro JPY is another one I really didn't feel comfortable taking, to be honest. All right, cool. I mean, I basically broke those down. I didn't do the whole thing, but yeah, y'all get the gist. I just want to kind of explain, what's the word, correlation. So sorry about that. I'm only gonna be in here about 20 more minutes. I don't know if you guys know. Hopefully you guys are finna tap into this, because this is what I'm finna tap into. Their session was pretty dope last night. They actually do share the screen. So one of them goes 30 minutes, the other one goes the other 30 minutes. If y'all ain't got steady or the pro pack, well, pro pack now, because you can't get steady if you weren't grandfathered into it. So the pro pack, definitely make sure y'all tap into that. This is gonna come on basically in 20 minutes. So I'm gonna work my way to get up off of here so I can catch that. So we gonna finish it off like this. Like I said, I'm not about to talk about any of these other setups because none of these look like they finna activate today. GBP JPY, honestly, this is still, that's almost like 100 pips away. If that were to get up there tonight, I would honestly be surprised. That's gonna be a lot of movement tonight. It might happen. If it does, I'll call it out, but I just don't feel like talking about it because I feel like it's not gonna happen tonight. NZD CAD, obviously this is definitely not gonna happen tonight. And then we got USD Chef and AUD Chef. AUD Chef, this is more so something I don't want to go over it. If anything, I'll go over it tomorrow. If it activates, obviously I'll call it out if it gets closer, but I just don't know if this will make it. So I just, like I said, I just don't want to spend my time talking about something I could save for tomorrow. If it doesn't actually end up activating today. Because best case scenario, yeah, I still call out the trades where y'all still benefit from it, but I can still save it to talk about tomorrow. So we're just going to talk about the two trades that we called out yesterday, and then we go call it a day. All right. So let's go over to L first. Okay. Now I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I made a mistake with this trade. And I didn't really think about it until after the fact. So one thing I did, I'm not gonna lie, when I took this trade, I ignored something that I was aware that I was ignoring, but it was other confirmations that made me feel comfortable taking this. But the good thing about me is I'm now at the point where I've done so much back testing that this mistake that I made, I'm just never going to make it again. This was one of those things to where I usually always never ignore this rule, but this setup, it just looked good to me. I just felt like the market went up hella far. It needed to retrace, it gave, an impulse. I felt like this was maybe going to react off of this. It did, it put us a little bit in profit, but ultimately it ended up hitting stop loss. But like I said, you're not going to get emotionally attached to losses, especially if you know that you could have did something different. Okay. There's going to be two types of losses. The losses to where it's like, there's literally nothing I could have did differently, or the losses where it's going to be like, you know what, I actually could have avoided taking this L by doing X, Y, and Z. So I'm not actually going to go over this setup because it's an L, and we obviously already went over this setup yesterday when I officially got y'all to take it. The thing I'm going to show y'all is this. So the thing that I do that I tell you guys is whenever I find a setup, I look for the biggest candle, the biggest engulfing candle, and the highest time frame. So let me see what time frame that actually was. It would have been this one. So right here, and I don't want to erase my markup because on my YouTube channel, I'm also going to include the losses that I take as well. So I just want it to be extremely transparent. So I want to be able to send the losses that I take as well. So I want to keep this marked up. I already sent out, actually, I don't even think I made a YouTube video for this buy yet. I am slacking. That's why I still got this marked up probably. All right, my bad. I'm getting sidetracked. So basically, where I'm going with it is if you guys see this gigantic candle right here, right? So this would have been a candle that I basically would have marked this chart up from. Here's where I made the mistake, okay? And I can't use the RSI for this example because I really only use the RSI to show y'all. I use the TDI because the TDI and RSI are similar, but they don't move the same. Reason why I say that is the yellow line is going to be equivalent to this dotted line on the RSI. Notice how the RSI is basically in the extremes. The TDI is not even close, okay? This is important information to know. Like I said, I only know all this because I back tested my ass off, okay? That's why I started paying more attention to the TDI instead of RSI, because the TDI, it gives you more room to move. The RSI is a little more sensitive. Like it's easier for the RSI to hit the extremes, but those extremes are not as valid as the extremes on the TDI. So for this purpose, I'm gonna show you guys the TDI, and I'm gonna just say it like this. The mistake that I made is whenever I'm looking to take a trade based off the style that I'm explaining to you guys, whatever time frame I decide I'm gonna take the trade off of, I still need this green line to be up here. So the mistake that I made was I saw that this wasn't up here, but I still ignored it and took the trade. Reason why I say that is this candle can still keep going up because this is not in the extremes yet, which is basically exactly what it did. Now, let me show you guys an example of what it should look like. I'll just do NZD CAD. So on NZD CAD, right, this is gonna be a perfect example. The time frame that I ended up marking this up on was the 7-hour. Look at where the TDI is, even on the 7-hour time frame. Drop a 1 in the chat if you understand and you see what I'm explaining to you. You see how this candle is actually in the extremes on the TDI? That's what I'm referencing. That's where I made the mistake. I honestly knew it when I took the trade. I shouldn't have did it, but I like the market structure. Now I just know moving forward, it is a reason, Tyree, that you implemented that rule, and don't test no shit out no more. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, honestly, it's my fault for even sending out that trade. That should have been a trade that I should have personally taken just because I knew I was ignoring one of my rules. But full transparency, we're human. We all make mistakes, right? Stationary, there you go. Stationary, exactly. So and then you can see it bounced off of it. So this is really why I like using the TDI over the RSI, because it's a lot harder for the extremes to get hit on the TDI. And because of that, they're going to be more valid, specifically in my style of trading. So that's basically the mistake I made on AED CAD. So I don't have to go any further than just explaining like that. I do apologize, like I said, because I'm not one of the people. I'm not one of them that's like, oh man, you're going to lose. It's like, nah, like if I know I sent out a trade I shouldn't have sent out, I don't want to be losing people money whenever I know I could have avoided that. So I apologize for that. But like I said, hopefully y'all stayed up because we made our money back on AED NZD. The people that were on the call, I literally marked this up before we got off the call last night. And I told y'all what this is finna do. Come on, man. I can't make this up. I literally can't. So this was actually a DeLorean that was called out. Shout out to that boy Tyrone. Shout out to that boy Patrick Mother Flippin' Kenny. Okay. And Abel Melendez. Can't forget the GOAT. So this is a DeLorean, right? Now, I'm not going to sit here and go too deep into a DeLorean because that would be a whole nother call. But what I'm going to do is the beautiful thing and reference my damn YouTube channel. So I actually have a video going over to DeLorean. It's actually two things I'm going to give you guys access to. I actually have a Telegram chat, which I need to go drop this markup in. So I actually have a Telegram chat. So where I actually drop the DeLoreans that I personally like to take. So if you guys want to be able to lock into that to where you can maybe, start seeing the DeLoreans I like to take, or maybe what is a good and what is a bad DeLorean, you guys can take advantage of that. Right. So y'all got the Telegram I just dropped in there. That Telegram is literally, it literally looks like this for anybody that's knowing the call. I literally just drop all my DeLorean markups in here. So maybe you guys get to a point where you start understanding and deciding what DeLoreans you like. One thing I will tell y'all is obviously all DeLoreans are not the same. So like I know my boy Devin is on the call, and some of y'all that are more experienced to probably trade DeLoreans. One thing I personally do not do, I do not take a DeLorean if it is not touching the aqua in some way, shape, or form. That might be information that you can apply moving forward. We've seen DeLoreans to where the aqua is close. There is no close. It's either touching the candle or it's not. Okay. So every DeLorean that I take, it is going to be touching the aqua. It's not going to be close. It is not going to be, no, it's going to be touching. And that's from back testing. I just noticed over time, specifically, if I just wait for all the DeLoreans that actually touch the aqua, it's going to be way better results. So, that's just one of the things that, I want you guys to take advantage of on top of that. Bam. You know how cool it is to be able to type your name in on YouTube and it actually pulls up your videos. It's not like it pulls up somebody else's channel and I got to scroll down. This is pretty dope. That means I'm actually putting in some good content where YouTube is respecting your boy, man. I got to put some respect on my name, right? Anyways, though, this is going to be the YouTube video. I recommend that y'all watch this YouTube video. I literally explain everything that you need to know. It was made in July. It's not necessarily a whole lot that's changed, so it's not really a reason for me to make an updated video, to be honest. I'll probably make one eventually. And I'm not gonna make another one because I'm just gonna end up making a video because I haven't made a video for the app. So that's the next DeLorean video I'll make. I'll make a video for the DeLorean app. Oh, I can make one for Hyperdrive. I can specifically make, yeah. I didn't make out as many videos as I can. I'm talking too much. My bad, y'all. Anyways, let's get back to this because we only got like 10 minutes left before the call starts. So all in all, we already know where this was called out originally. Obviously, let me see if I can actually go. Nah, I can't. Oh, they erased these now. Okay, so they don't keep the old ones on there. That's fine. I ain't tripping. All right, so anyways, though, they called this out. So basically, it was called out. It was a 1 hour DeLorean. Like I said, if you guys look, no, look. This is a dope thing about uploading this. I'm about to go show y'all real quick. Because like I said, I literally uploaded a video that I did yesterday. Peep this, right? Check this out. Yes, sir. Come on, man. Look at this. But yeah, I'm gonna end up sending out this AD NZD. Yes, sir. Look at your boy, man. Real time. I ain't making this up. Come on, brother. Check this real quick. Don't play with me, man. Come on, man. I ain't gonna play the whole video. I don't worry about your steady. That. But yeah, so as y'all see, I literally marked this up. You see how this looks exactly like this, right? Come on, man. I can't make this up, right? But you got to know what you're seeing in real time. The biggest thing, shout out to my boy Robert. But you got to know what you're seeing in real time, right? Got to know what you're seeing in real time. So that's the only reason why I was able to take this trade. I don't know if you guys understand what this is. This is an engulfing candle. So the same thing I've been showing y'all with the other style of trading is going to still be intact with this other style of trading, okay? Now, the thing that I want you guys to be able to start looking at, okay? I'm probably gonna make a video for this. It'll be a little harder to make a video for this because I kind of have to take the time out to go find these ahead of time. But what I want you guys to listen, I want you guys to listen and listen close. Whenever you see an engulfing candle that almost has no wick on the smaller candle, those by far are the best candles, hands down. I can actually show you guys an example, right? Where is that? Look at this, right? Look at this. This is a trade I actually took myself. If I were to go back in my chat, you guys would see that I actually called out this trade. I don't know how far I took it, but I definitely called this out. But anyways, look at this, right? These are the things I want you guys to start fixating on, right? I ain't gonna draw the box because I'm trying to keep the picture off. So notice how this candle barely has any wick on it, right? These are going to be some of the best candles you could take. So honestly, the reason why I was so into this setup is because I saw this. I was like, oh, they got a candle with no wick on it. These are like the best ones, some of the most sensitive ones. And as you guys see, the dope thing about the strategy, right? This is what's so dope about the strategy. The strategy actually tells you where you can target, okay? Tells you where you can target. So we already know this is a BTS. Anybody that knows the Lawrence is obviously a BTS. BTSs, to be honest, are my favorite trades. Trading with the trend is cool, but I feel like BTSs are easier because you're literally just targeting a line. You ain't even got to target structure. Just target the line, right? So all in all, I know if I am trading between these EMAs with this strategy, I am just going to target the next EMA, which will be the white line. Okay. Now you can target past the white line, to be honest. What I actually did with this setup, because I like swinging stuff now. My old style of trading with this strategy, I would honestly just have my final take profit here, just because the majority of the time it's really not going to break past that white line. It's just go stop. So it almost doesn't even benefit you to try to hold the trade past that. Obviously, some instances it'll break and keep going. That's cool. But honestly, for the most part, which I now know, I'm not really gonna because it's almost like a waste of time marking this up the way that I marked it up whenever I could really just aim for here and just get out the trade. Because the thing you guys got to know about different strategies, you have to know what's scalping, you have to know what's day trading, you have to know what's swing trading. The DeLorean by nature is a scalping strategy. Obviously, on certain time frames, like if you're trading on the 1 hour, that's not necessarily considered scalping. But the concept of the strategy was meant to catch small impulsive moves with the trend. So moving forward with BTSs, I'm just going to target the white line. So honestly, the second take profit should have been a final take profit, but it did end up hitting take profit too. So as you guys see right here, and I actually did not send a picture for these. I think I had sent these from my phone. That's probably why. So I don't have the picture for it, but this is what it looked like. Sell by market, AD NZD. Here's the entry. Here's the stop loss. Here are the take profits. And these are the examples that I'm referencing. Moving forward, I'm not even going to waste my time with this. I'm gonna just do TP1 and TP2, because TP2 is usually just gonna be the white line. Because basically, as you guys saw, it literally hit the white line and just reversed and came back and hit break even. So it'd be better for me to just close all the profits here versus trying to take parcels and hold it. Because it's like I said, from experience, it's not usually gonna go too much further than the white line, just to be real with you. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't really necessarily had too much more I wanted to speak on that. Because like I said, DeLorean is not a strategy I've necessarily spoke so much on. So it might be more confusing than it's worth to try to actually sit here and explain it more in depth, which is why I gave y'all access to that YouTube video. You feel me? Exactly. Shout out to my boy Devin between the sheets. The fact that that's what Tyrone calls it is the funniest thing ever. I was like, what does BTS stand for? It stands for between the sheets. I was like, that's pretty funny. All right, guys. So let me see what we got. I'll keep an eye on GBP, JPY. But like I said, I just kind of have to see what that does. Definitely no reason to call it out now. We're still shit 80 pips away. Because this can easily go up, reject, play around. So yeah, I'm not gonna call that out. Yeah, none of these, just USD Chef. Yeah. I mean, AED Chef, like I said, might also be a play later tonight. So if y'all just keep y'all's eyes peeled, you might have other opportunities tonight. But as of right now, we just got USD Chef. We go focus on this and we just go be content. But outside of that, guys, I appreciate y'all for getting on the call as usual. I appreciate all my regulars. Shout out to my boy Devin. Shout out to my boy Ignatius. Shout out to I've been seeing Case Money get on here. Jocelyn. A few of y'all look familiar. So I appreciate all y'all for hopping on. If y'all want to bring a friend with y'all, that's cool, right? But outside of that, I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow. Okay, same time, 1 a.m. Central, 2 a.m. Eastern. And as of right now, this is what I would recommend that y'all do, because this is what I'm about to do. Let me show y'all what I'm about to do before I hop off, right? Obviously, assuming that you're already plugged into I Am Academy. If you're not, then maybe we'll get you in there one day. But outside of that, what I'm about to do is I'm about to go to live channels. Okay. Oh, they're not live yet. But anyways, whenever they do go live, basically I'm gonna go ahead and hop on the John Dollery and Rob Kumar session I was telling you guys about right here. And they actually dropped yeah, so they're about to, I guess, go live in like a couple minutes. But that's basically what I'm about to do, guys. So like I said, definitely make sure y'all tap into the YouTube channel. And then shit, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Wish y'all the best. Trade safe tonight. Don't do anything crazy. Make sure before you accidentally fall asleep, you put in that USD Chef sell limit. And let's see if we make some money tonight. I'll see y'all tomorrow at the same time. Peace.